Hello, Aries. Welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. All right, Aries, here we are. We have this wonderful universe card. Always excited to see. And yet, I always think of this energy as being one of great awe, right? It's like when we finally see something all the way through, we have met that goal, we have arrived at that star, that beautiful, beautiful star archetype, and everything feels like it's come together, and we think about our, childhood fairy tales and storybook stories where everything is neatly tied up at the end, and it is beautiful, happily ever after. But then you think, okay, it's not like this is, it just becomes kind of cemented or like this glacial thing. It's now just there forever. No, something has to begin, right? Because we've ended a cycle. And so when I see the universe card, I think, yeah, there is a sense of completion, right? But now we begin again. And that's the exciting part. It's also the tiring part. It's kind of like, all right, can I just chill for a little bit? Can we just slow down for a few moments here? All right, let's turn this thing here, this bowl. And I want to thank you so much for deciding to click on this reading. It's always such a huge honor for me to be able to bring these messages to you. And if you would be so kind, or if you feel so inclined anyways, to like, subscribe, or leave a comment, it is really helpful for the algorithm and the channel and so on and so forth. Also, if you have a prayer request, you can put that in the comments or email them over to ulaishere@gmail.com. I know, I was like, wait. Sorry, I got lost I was looking at the letters and the numbers that are so apparent here. But yeah, if you don't feel comfortable putting it in the comments, that's super understandable. Send it in an email. I definitely am happy to receive those. Okay, let's see. We have the number 18, obviously. It could be 118 as well. But it looks like I-18. Or we also have that Z up there. We have a Z. I want to turn it this way to look. Okay, so interesting. It looks like it says N-I-N. Then it looks like we have a person laying down. You can see right here, it reminds me very much of like laying down on the grass late at night, watching the stars, watching the fireworks. So here's the body. Here would be the head up here and kind of an elbow holding the head up, and a hand with a finger pointed towards the sky there. Okay, so we have N, and then it looks like they're pointing at the infinity sign, right? So forever, infinity, the great mystery. It also looks like we have, and it looks very much to me anyways, like a fairy godmother, or some kind of guardian angel. Okay, so I do feel like you are at a point where you really are reevaluating your life, your existence, the meaning of things, right? I feel like this is a period of time where yeah, maybe you have finished a portion of your life, right? You've maybe, I don't know, graduated college, or you got married, or your kids are leaving the house, or maybe you're thinking about, retiring, or whatever it is. But I do feel like there is this sense of things not feeling like they used to. There's like a sense of the familiar now, just having that undertone of uncanny, right? It feels like when you've lived somewhere, and maybe it's like you've been in a relationship and you ended up separating or breaking up, right? And you shared a space and or maybe there are places you like to go together or whatever. And when you return after having been in this place and it feeling like a very familiar, and you're comfortable, you feel that you can move around and do things, and you're in a natural state. But then you leave, and there's some kind of like very real shift in the dynamic of things. And then you return after some time and it doesn't feel the same. Now, it might still feel familiar. Of course, the place, but you don't feel as free to move about, right? Don't feel as at home anymore. And so I feel that, you are going through this kind of shift where it's like what felt almost like comfortable, safe enough. Something has happened where your perception has shifted. I think you look at your life and you find yourself daydreaming quite a bit about something else, about what's next, about what it is that you need to feel something deeply again. And I think that's the thing. There's this kind of waking up of, I feel like I've been going through the motions. I've been on autopilot. I've been just, eking it out, grinding, trying to get through the day, trying to eat, trying to make something of this life, and it seems like for a lot of us, I would say almost all of us, it's gotten harder recently, and I think a lot of it's financial, but I also think just collectively, there's a lot changing in the world and a lot right in our face all the time, and I feel that there is kind of a collective anxiety, a collective kind of not knowing what to do or where to go or, what's going on exactly, and so, it makes sense that there's also in our personal lives this kind of what seemed like, the life that you wanted, or maybe it was in the time, but now the veil, the veneer, the whatever it is, it's just a little bit askew. And you can't help but notice. You've seen it and you can't unsee it. And so I do feel that instead of, and let me be clear, instead of feeling like this is a thing of doom, like, spiraling, tail spinning, I feel like this is you, and I think that you really recognize this. This is your opportunity to envision a life that you have dreamt of, that maybe you haven't even allowed yourself to fully even consider, right? Like we all have these things that are like, you want it so much. If you would just be honest with yourself, right? You would know, like, this is it. This is one of my driving things, but it is so potent, or we feel something around it, like we don't deserve it, or we have shame about it, or, whatever it is, that we never actually stop and look at the thing, right? To allow ourselves to indulge and even just, contemplating it. And so I feel that you have decided for yourself, and I think this is very intentional, that you are going to go into these places. You are going to explore. You are going to try some things. You are going to be brave, and maybe, vulnerable, allowing yourself to be in a situation where, now I'm not saying a dangerous thing. Don't put yourself in danger, please. But, allowing yourself to be vulnerable and putting your heart on the line, right? And, you might immediately think about being in a relationship, of course, a romantic relationship. But even, for a lot of us, it's the idea of like, maybe avoiding like having kids because it's such a emotionally risky thing. It's so deep and complex and sensitive. Really very sensitive. And, for me, this is one of the things that held me back for a long time as well. I just worried that I couldn't handle it emotionally, having my heart out there in the world, not being able to control all of the variables, scary. But sometimes, right, the world shifts. Your journey goes on a bend, right? And you have to just decide, am I going to do this closed off, or am I going to open myself up to the universe? Am I going to be here right now in this thing? Am I going to, make the most of it? And not only just make the most of it, use it as an opportunity to innovate, to explore, to express myself, to try something unconventional, to, finally do those things that I've been putting off for so long. And so I do. I feel that you are the dreamer right now. But the universe is also, very awakened to this potential. Don't you notice, like, when we're just, trying to get through the dang day after day, busy, bills, trying to make money, uncertainties, feeling lonely, lost, not understanding why people behave the way they do. The world seems wild and crazy, and you're tired, and and it goes on like that, and it goes on like that, and it feels like how do I even get out of this? And then something happens, or whatever, you get a little extra rest, and finally you can think a little more clearly, or whatever it is, whatever blessing, whatever little crack in the door there is, and you decide, like, yeah, I'm going to use this renewal of energy to even just do something slightly different. Maybe you take up yoga, or you start going to church or mosque on the whatever the Sabbath day is, and maybe you start, I don't know, making fairy gardens or whatever it is, whatever little thing that you think, oh yeah, in this moment, that sounds cool, I'm going to try it. And it gets the wheel kind of moving, right? And you're starting to feel, oh, I'm starting to okay, I'm kind of moving. I'm starting to loosen up here. I'm getting some traction. Maybe I'm going to try this other thing. Maybe next weekend I'll actually go to this festival, or maybe I'll do this meetup, or maybe, and then it starts to add on. You're opening up, you're meeting new people, you're feeling connected, and the universe starts to talk to you a little bit. You start to see the synchronicities, the patterns. Things are coming to you with ease. You're not in that place of, feeling like, desperation. And let's just be honest, we've all been there many times, likely, right? Many times. So there's no shame in feeling that desperation. There's no shame in that burnout, in that, just trying to survive mode. But when you have even just a reprieve from it, and you see that, I forgot. There's a whole other side to life. Wow. When we find ourselves there, and that's where I feel this sense of ease. I mean, ease and wonderment, and we have the house, we have the furnace going right up here. We have that hearth mother energy. In the olden days, right? Well, and there's still some of us out here. People in many cultures believed and honored household gods and goddesses and entities, elementals, and things like the fae or jinn or whatever it is, as beings that dwelled in these places with us. And there was often a goddess of the hearth, which is the fireplace, right? And this would be the place that kept the house going. This is where you cooked. This is where you kept warm. This is where you likely washed your clothes, and for the hot water, getting the hot water, and so on and so forth. So this was one of the most important goddesses, right? And so to see that, it is a blessing upon the home. It is the core, the center that is burning, right? This is that wand energy, that creative sexual energy of the universe, the thing that if you could think of a serpent made of fire, as the kundalini, right? To see that right here, that tells me, this is not only just a fleeting glimpse at having some, renewed energy and an open heart and that motivation, that wonder, the starry eyes, the, a lightness and a moving, a rising passion. It's not just that, right? It's not just in this fleeting moment and it burns out quickly. No, when we see the hearth, the furnace, the interior fire, that is one that burns infinitely, right? And we've seen, the symbol of the eternal flame, which is, put on important people's tombs or at their sculptures or whatever, and it is a flame that is kept going endlessly, and it does. This is the same kind of thing. It is this endless eternal flame. And so I feel you being acutely aware of this rising energy. You are aglow. You are just absolutely magical. Here's the thing too, is I bet people have been telling you that you look particularly beautiful lately. And that is because your vibe is rising. Your energies are rising. Now, We have, it looks like a visitor. We have the house, we have the furnace, but we have a person showing up. We also, I believe that this is a person that maybe is a Taurus. We have the bull's head here. We also have the letter H. Okay, so maybe an H name. But over here, we have what looks like, right in here, maybe a volcano. Not a large one, but definitely a volcano. So this is a person that is emotionally volatile at times. And I feel that you have a long history with them. So I wonder if this is even like maybe a sibling or a family member. But I feel that you try very hard to get along with them. I think that likely they also try really hard. But whatever it is about each other, you just trigger that old kind of, it's like you could be 50 years old, right? And very serious person, accomplished, you have a beautiful family, you know, you're like a pillar of the community. But the moment you get around the table for holiday supper and your sibling starts to kind of, you know, goad you a little bit, kind of poke at you a little bit, you're right back to being 10 years old, you know, on in the middle of summer, your parents have had it with you. You're out in the backyard fighting over the hose or a toy or something, right? And you just get right back into that place. And so I feel that there's some kind of visit, it's coming up. And I feel like the universe is kind of telling you to fortify yourself. Because, and I'm kind of just, I want to turn this as we're talking. Because I feel that there's just not, I don't think that like anybody's passing away, right? But I just feel like there's this acute awareness of there not being enough time, right? There's all of a sudden I'm looking around and my life has passed by so quickly. And now I'm at an age where people are starting to, you know, get older and have illnesses and, you know, and yeah, some people passing away and things like that. And then you get around your family, your core people, even if you don't talk a lot, even if you don't see each other that often. And you realize like, man, we're not kids anymore. You know, we feel like kids when we get to bickering and you know, messing with each other. But I see suddenly the hour is late. At least, you know, it's getting to be late afternoon, right? So, and I'm looking at this head right here. It looks like we have the ram face, right? Look at the eyes, nose, mouth, ears. Here's kind of the whole deal. We also have the outline of the ram over here. We have, look at that, the tortoise and the rabbit. So have you ever heard the story of the tortoise and the hare, or the hare and the tortoise, or whatever it is? It is about a race between a rabbit and a tortoise, or a turtle. And we know that the turtle obviously is slower. The rabbit could win easily, but the rabbit is overconfident. The rabbit is, you know, likes to, you know, poke a little fun, you know, be a little bit of a braggart maybe. So the rabbit runs ahead, obviously, as the race begins, and is so confident that it lays down and it takes a nap. It's not on its game. It's definitely, it feels like, okay, whatever, I got this. Well, the turtle just keeps going. The turtle says, I got one goal here. I'm just going to keep on trucking, do what I can and keep moving. And the tortoise ends up winning because the hare has lost sight and got distracted and fell asleep and whatever and didn't wake up in time, right? So that's a big energy here. A big energy. And I think really what this is you comparing yourself. I feel like at times in your life, you've looked around at people, and maybe even the sibling we were talking about, and thought, I'm not getting on as quickly as everybody else, or I didn't do all the things. Maybe I'm kind of the black sheep of the family, or the one that's, maybe not got the most fancy title or whatever it is. But here's the deal, is that I feel like you've always kept on, and you've seen people through their seasons. And I feel like at this point, you're the one that is getting ahead of everybody else, because you've just continued on. You have never wavered in your self-development and building your life up. Now, have you had times where you failed? Of course. Of course. And that's the blessing, right? You've failed, you've learned, you've honed many skills within your life because you don't give up on things. You continue to do the dang thing until it gets done. And so I feel like at this point in your life, you are the one that is, very well balanced in different spheres of your life. Now, I don't think that you're a person that you're sitting here judging somebody else and saying, well, now here, I'm the one that's on top. I don't think it's that. But I think what it is it's a little window into, you know what? I'm proud of myself. You know what? I did what I said I was going to do. I don't care if it took me, a week or 10 years. I did the thing that I said I was going to do. And so I think this really, it adds to your power. It adds to your self-belief. And I think that's a wonderful and beautiful thing for you. So seeing those different repeated ram formations, it tells me you are in total activation. You are in your power. You are in your strength. Okay, let's take a look here. So we have two kids that looks like running and playing. This one looks like they have little pigtails. This one looks like they're carrying maybe a little flower. So again, maybe the sibling. Maybe there's some rising connection happening. I wonder if there will be something that really kind of, I don't know, kind of changes your whole energy towards each other. I wonder if maybe, there will be this kind of return to talking more, seeing each other more, maybe just learning to enjoy each other a little bit, or at least be at ease with one another. Now, we also have one of these, grassland birds, these marsh birds, these lake birds, the egret, the heron, the stork, which one? What are the other ones? I don't know. There's a whole bunch of them. We get a lot of them. I actually just saw the blue heron this morning. I got a picture of him. I should post it. when I was going outside to check on my plants on the porch, flying right overhead. I was like, oh my gosh, I finally got a picture of it flying. So, but these are symbols of contemplation. If you've ever seen one of these kinds of birds hanging out like a flamingo in the water, just standing there, kind of serenely looking, waiting for their moment, you know, I think of this as like pure contemplation. So when we see the symbol, it is really kind of a reminder of coming into these more thoughtful places and allowing yourself to really, think deeply about things. I think we live in such a culture of trying to avoid feeling things, trying to avoid really, dwelling on anything, or if it's, feels painful or negative, trying to find any way to, numb that or not look at it or, push it aside or not, claim it. Just kind of, put on a blinder to, okay, I don't want to look at that. I'm not going to, this is not affecting me. It's not and you can't really always control if something is going to affect you. You know, if you've ever had the experience of, at a younger age, thinking something that happened to you or around you was funny. And then as you get older and gain perspective about, people and life in the world, you think, oh my gosh, that was kind of awful, actually. That was scary. That was maybe even traumatic, right? You have different eyes to see. So I do feel that you are intentionally, or there's the opportunity here to really intentionally look at some aspects of life and being, and this kind of meditating on, maybe the more esoteric or existential or, whatever it is. It might even be like, I'm deciding I'm going to therapy for the first time. I'm going to go see a counselor for the first time. Or maybe you've done a lot. Maybe you're trying different modalities or, different kinds of practices. Whatever it is, I feel that this is going to be something that is important to your journey. Obviously, everything's important, but this is going to be something that you actually, I feel, see some results, and the experience, I think, is very meaningful as well. And really, it's amazing that even just 100 years ago, the idea of contemplation, of stopping and really, dwelling in your mind, it was a very real thing that I think people more widely did. And, obviously that's because we didn't have a phone in our hands, right? We didn't have constant stimuli. But we've gotten away from that. It's even, considered, I imagine, as kind of a waste of time to just sit and ponder things. When is the last time you just sat and thought about whatever came to your mind? When is the last time that you allowed yourself to really kind of take a walk, a stroll through your mind? And I don't mean just like ruminating and worrying about things like we do, or bills and money and our kids and our love and, our place in the world and all, I don't mean that, but to really just think about it. Think about whatever. Think about, creation or a cosmology or cosmology or, I don't know, like last winter, I went through a real obsession with, like deep space voids in in outer space in the universe. It is terrifying and also really awesome. So, I was obsessed. I was reading about it, watching stuff, And so I do. I find you really in your passion here. We also have the number 500. And I do see we have a person holding the number 7 right here. So luck coming into play. But also we have a ram that is feeding. So I do feel like there is kind of a call to, it does feel like psychic nourishment, emotional nourishment. So doing things that really fill you up. Right? Not things that are taking away from you, or, you're doing it because you feel some obligation, or maybe it's the thing you've always done and you don't really like doing it, but, here you are. No, finding things or doing things that really add to your life, that lighten your mood, that that feel good. I think that is super important. And with that part of your life being prioritized, I feel like there's a flow of luck, of, goodwill in your life. I feel like the universe is like, sprinkling these blessings upon you. And I think a lot of it is an elevated mood. I think that's the big thing. All right, now we're going to do our lucky numbers. Number 50, number 50, number 31, and number 61. Okay. Now, the last thing we have here is our Wild Bohemian affirmation cards. And I'm just going to flip through. I'll stop where it feels right. Beautiful. And it says, number 15, I have come. You have nothing to hide, nothing to prove. You know who you are in love. Beautiful. All right, Aries, I'm going to wrap it up. This is a long reading. All right. I love you so much. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for sharing your time and your energies. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. If you want to like, subscribe, or leave a comment, I would love to hear from you. Other than that, again, I'll say I love you. I love you. I love you. Take care of yourself, and we'll talk real soon. Good night.